Police officer Alex was on a calm night patrol, driving through the narrow streets of the small town. It was a quiet place, rarely disturbed by anything unusual, but tonight, something felt different. A sudden call came through the radio, reporting strange lights and noises coming from the town's old library. It was already past midnight, and the library should have been closed hours ago. When Alex arrived at the library, everything seemed normal at first glance. But as he approached, he noticed the large wooden door was slightly ajar. A faint light was seeping through the crack, accompanied by the soft sound of pages turning. Alex hesitated for a moment, wondering who could be inside. A thief? Or maybe a homeless person seeking shelter? Gripping his flashlight, he carefully pushed the door open and stepped inside. The library, usually warm and inviting during the day, now felt entirely different. The long rows of bookshelves cast looming shadows, and the faint smell of old paper filled the air. It was eerily silent, except for the occasional creak of the floorboards beneath Alex's feet. As he moved further in, his flashlight beam fell on a table where an open book lay, almost as if it were waiting for him. Approaching the table, Alex saw that the book was old, its pages yellowed and its binding worn. Yet it seemed distinct from the other books around it. There was no title or author's name on the cover, only a strange symbol engraved into the leather. Something about it felt ancient, almost forbidden. Curiosity took over, and Alex began to flip through the pages. What he saw made his breath catch. The book was telling his story. Detailed accounts of his life as a police officer were written on the pages, cases he had worked on, decisions he had made, and mistakes he wished he could forget. At first he thought it might be a prank, but as he read on, the details became too personal, too specific to be anything but real. One page described a case from years ago, one that Alex could never solve. A woman who had disappeared from her home without leaving a trace. It had haunted him, a glaring failure in his otherwise solid career. But here, in the book, the case was laid out in intricate detail, revealing what had truly happened to the woman. She had uncovered a dangerous secret and been silenced because of it. Turning to the next section, Alex found an entry about his personal life. It described a fight with his wife, Emily, that had ultimately driven her to leave him. The words on the page mirrored his regrets, exactly things he had never admitted to anyone, not even himself. Eventually, Alex reached the final pages, only to find one blank. Before he could close the book, words began to appear, as if written by an invisible hand. "The last story will be written tonight, Alex. You cannot escape." Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the library. The book slammed shut on its own, and every light went out. The darkness was suffocating. From somewhere deep in the shelves, a faint whisper echoed. Alex spun around, shining his flashlight into the shadows, but there was nothing there. Or was there? For a brief moment, he thought he saw a figure darting between the shelves. He tried to retreat toward the door, but it was locked. Panic began to set in. Out of nowhere, an old film projector flickered to life, casting images onto a nearby wall. The images were scenes from Alex's past moments he had buried deep in his mind. Lies he had told, cases he had neglected, innocent people he had failed to protect. It was as if the library itself was forcing him to confront his worst sins. "Let me out!" Alex shouted, his voice trembling with fear. But the only response was a chilling, disembodied voice. "Your story isn't over yet." When Alex finally stumbled out of the library, dawn was breaking. But nothing felt the same. That day, he began noticing strange coincidences. People from old cases reappeared. Unresolved mysteries resurfaced. It was as if his life was being rewritten by an unseen hand, forcing him to face everything he had tried to forget. When Alex told his fellow officers about the library, they looked at him with confusion. According to them, the library had burned down years ago in a devastating fire. That's when Alex realized the building wasn't ordinary. It was something beyond comprehension. But one question still haunted him. Had the book finished writing his story? Or was it still ongoing? Each night, Alex dreamed of the book's cover. The strange symbol burned into his memory. And no matter how hard he tried to forget, the whispers from the shadows of the midnight library followed him wherever he went.